What is up, guys? Welcome to a new video. So 7.2 is shaping up to be a pretty awesome patch actually. We've got nerfs to Yasuo finally, Courage of the Colossus, Redemption, and even a buff to Master Yi and Nidalee, plus a ton of other ones. Actually, just wanted to say thank you first for all the ideas you gave me for the sandbox video over on the QT that we did a few days ago. I've been reading through them all and there are some really good ones. Because that was so good, we're going to do the same thing for 7.2 and I'm going to give some more RP away. So I'll pick some comments to put on a video from QT, and if I use yours, you'll get $10 of RP or whatever for your server as well. I made the 7.2 page, the link is down below. You comment anything about the patch, but I do really want to know who you think is going to get nerfed or buffed next though, or who you think deserves one, because that's the video I want to do. Anyway, just head on over, leave a comment or a joke, whatever you want to do, and if I use it, then you get $10 of RP and you'll be in a video. So we're going to start with the biggest one, which is Courage of the Colossus, but timestamps are down below for the other stuff like nerfs, buffs, redemption, items, champions, and this title actually was not even clickbait, to be honest. This really took a hit. So the shield value has actually been changed now. The 5% per nearby champion is the same, but it used to be 10 to 180 flat shield value plus a 5%. Now it's going to be 3 to 54 per nearby enemy champion plus 5% extra, and they're actually lowering the shield duration down to 3 seconds from 4 as well. So it's not going to last as long and it's not going to shield as much either. The reason I think it's fair to say it's kind of dead is because if you compare the two, 1v1 late game is going to be 54 plus 5% of a shield. Before it was 180 plus 5% of a shield. Remember, this is still with a 45-second cooldown early because of the earlier nerfs as well. It's about 30% of what it used to be as base now, so it's more on the percentage part. Like, so one, you kind of have to build health now to make it properly worth it, in my opinion. You have to be around 3 champions to make it as good as it was before, and it's not going to last as long. They can just cut you, ignore you, or burn through the shield a bit easier. It's pretty much dead, in my opinion, for champions who abuse this in the lane phase, or those who didn't build tank but wanted that extra shield. Maybe I'm kind of overacting a little bit, but there were 2 major ways you kill something like this just in the general game. You reduce the duration, less useful anyway. The other way is to reduce how useful it is at a specific part in the game to make it abusable at some part, and for Courage of the Colossus is going to be abusable early. That's kind of how they killed Fervor of Battle originally before they buffed it, and the duration on this is going to be an overall nerf, right? The 30% of the base shield is an overall nerf, but you'll probably feel it more early where the percentage isn't bringing as much. There is one good part to this though. If you're around 4 or 5 enemy champions, the base is actually going to be more, but really, like, how likely is that you dive into that many people except maybe super late game? Most ganks or skirmishes are going to be 1, 2, or 3 champions max. Maybe you also have to remember that Thunderlord is pretty good now for damage champions. Fervor isn't as bad either. Everyone just took Courage because it was too strong, but maybe now the others are going to be better in comparison. Either way, this should make it a bit easier if something like a Hecarim comes diving onto your face. You might actually be able to do something about it. So let's move on to the biggest champion nerfs, which are to Yasuo and Darius this patch. So Yasuo's E is getting changed. The base damage is down now, and by quite a bit as well. It's 60 to 100 from 70 to 150. That is going to be 50 off rank 5, which is not going to feel good, but to make up for it, kind of, they've added a 20% bonus AD ratio. So the AD you get from items and runes will now factor into your AD damage. That seems like a pretty decent trade, right? You get 50 damage off, but you get 20% of your bonus AD. That's pretty good, but the problem is how the stacking damage works on it. At the moment on the PB, each cast increases the next dash by 25% up to 50%, right? That's just how it is anyway. It's the same as normal, but this is only for the base damage. The 20% is going to stay the same. Stacking up your E is only going to increase the 100 damage now, not the 20% extra instead of the 150 that it was doing before. Because you max this first as well, you're going to feel it a lot early too, I think, and it's going to make these dash dukey trades that do a lot of damage less deadly. Don't get me wrong, like, it doesn't kill the champion or anything, sadly, but it would definitely make him weaker, and you're going to have to work a bit harder to kill people. Experienced players probably won't worry too much, but worse ones are going to be sad. Darius is the other one. 2 of the most annoying top lane champions actually are getting their asses kicked this patch, which feels good. Your passive is 300 to 200 bonus AD from 40 to 200, so basically less AD early, you're weaker in the lane phase, and also your Q, the handle damage has been lowered to 35% from 50%. Overall, in the lane phase, early levels, he's going to be a bit weaker, and I think at the moment he doesn't really get to 40 AD until level 7 now instead of level 1, so 10 less AD the entire lane phase is decent. There's also a bit more counterplay. Like, if you can move into him and dodge the blade damage on his Q, then it's not going to deal anywhere near as much as the damage from the blade, plus no heal as well. This is actually a nice touch in my opinion, to be honest. Like, it gives you a way to mitigate his main damage. The ability he maxes first, his Q, so it doesn't screw like his extended trading or anything, but it does make him weaker in certain areas. Let's move on to what I think is the biggest champion buff this patch actually, which is to Master Yi. His passive is like Lucian's now. That's how it's going to work. Right now at the moment on live, his passive attacks twice after 3 basic attacks. So what it's going to do now is pick another target for the second attack if the first one kills the one you hit. It's just a nice thing mainly, I guess, for the jungle. So if you kill one monster, you're going to hit the next one with the second attack. The W is the bigger change though. So it heals like normal. The damage reduction is still there, but there's 2 new things. One, you're going to gain stacks of your passive, so you come out of your meditation and you double strike instantly, which is going to be more damage. It also pauses the duration on your E and your R, which is massive, I think. Your E is 5 seconds of bonus true damage, remember, so you don't actually waste that if you have to meditate while it's on. Your ultimate is bonus attack speed and move speed, and you can't be slow. So if you have to use it while it's activated, you can come out of your meditation and still be running around like a madman. Me and Foxshot were talking about this the other day, actually, and neither of us thought that Yi was that bad. Like, kit-wise, he's a bit awkward, I guess, to fit into the meta because he's just a right-click machine. Until you get to super high elo, you auto-cancel and stuff like that, but at lower ranks, he's still going to face roll in, and just like, this will make him even better than he was before. It might not seem like a huge deal, I guess, but I think in practice, it's going to make things a lot easier for him, a lot better for him, without you actually having to do anything else. Remember as well, Shyvana is basically like a Master Yi in a lot of ways, and she was considered OP for a while. She got overbuffed, and proof that kind of this style of farm carry jungler does actually work in this meta, especially with Blade of the Ruined King buff. The game is still quicker than it used to be, than he probably wants it to be, but in my opinion, he's good, especially gold and below, and this is only going to bring him back more. Now, Nidalee is finally getting some buffs though. Well, kind of anyway. Your base health is up almost 30, which is going to help with your early clear a little bit. There's a couple of W changes though, so it's now invisible, but they can be revealed and destroyed, so you can't just see them and actively avoid them. Traps now have 6 health as well, kind of in the same way that wards do, and ranged champions are going to do 2 damage to that trap, and melee are going to do 3. It gives gold if you kill it, which is nice, I guess, a bit random, and you only have 4 to 10 traps active depending on your level. Your E heal is also up slightly more early ranks and only a bit at rank 5. I'm not sure this is going to be enough really to make her mainstream again, but it might bring her back a little bit at the very least. She's a high skill cap champion in my opinion, but she's way too risky. Like, you get ahead early or you just suck ass all game. When I read these, the base health actually seems to be the coolest thing here, which is kind of sad. Like, getting that early clear done is important for an Nidalee play, and this is going to help you a little bit. Let's move on to items, and finally Redemption is getting a nerf. The health on it is lowered by 100 to 300. The mana regen is up a little bit, 125% now from 75% though, so kind of counter it a little bit. The active heal though, what we really care about, is now down to 40 plus 25 per level instead of 130 plus 20 per level. As you can tell from the numbers, the way they're doing this really is making it worse early, but it scales into the game just as well. So like level 10 for example is a 290 heal now instead of 330. So heal wise it evens out late game. If you get Redemption as a first item, you're going to feel it the most though, with 100 less health for you and 40 or 50 less of a heal. Remember as well, it's actually an AoE heal though as well. So in theory in a team fight, if you hit all 5 of your teammates, you'll be healing 200 less overall, which actually does make more of a difference. The thing with Redemption though, the problem for me at least, is it doesn't stop people getting this second or third item who probably shouldn't. Like even a Blitzcrank or a Thresh, like aggressive supports will get this because the heal is going to be massive regardless in a team fight. As well, if you remember to the early season, like Riot reworked Locket because every support bought it and they didn't want support items to be so linear, like they bought the same every game. Now they've added an even stronger item in Redemption, which almost every support buys. I think we're missing some logic there, it doesn't make sense. Let's move on to a different item though. Ardent Sensor is actually getting a buff, and I'm guessing it's trying to get people to buy this instead of Redemption, though I doubt that's going to work. So the attack speed and health drain scales with levels now, and I know I'm a bit dumb here, maybe I'm a bit slow, but I must have missed the part where Ardent Sensor stole health in the first place. Maybe because nobody builds it anymore anyway. But now anyway, attack speed goes up to 35% and health stole up to 35, both from 20 before. It makes it decently better late game actually, and good on anyone who can shield or heal like Janna, Soraka, Sona, as if they needed to be any stronger. They're already top tier and now they're going to have Redemption and this Ardent Sensor. Going away from like these defensive supports, the Eye of Equinox, the last support item actually to be changed, is trying to get people to build Targons, not always going into face of the mountain, but I don't know if that will happen either. They added 10% cooldown reduction to this Eye of the Equinox, and the cost is down by 100 gold. It's a pretty nice change actually, but most champions who get Targons are tanky. They're kind of like Braum or Thresh or Alistar. They want to fight all the time, and the extra shield is actually really good in a fight. Gunblade is actually one of the other really important changes this patch. It's getting a pretty decent nerf actually. The damage now scales from 175 to 250 instead of a flat 250. This is trying to stop the Gunblade rush being as ridiculous as it is, I think. Like, it's most likely going to hit like Katarina or Mordekaiser, I guess, you rush it straight away. There must be others, like maybe a Kali rushes this as well. 75 or 50 damage early is quite a lot less actually, so we'll see if this does make people build slightly differently. I've also mentioned these two before in the lethality video I did the other day, which I'll link down below if you haven't seen that, but the damage is increased on Dustblade to 75 from 50. Remember as well, this is actually true damage, so it is 75 extra damage. It's better than it actually looks. And also Edge of Night, the cooldown is down to 30 seconds from 45. You only use this at the start of a fight though once, so I don't think it's going to really do that much honestly. And we do have the lethality changes though, where it's now 60% up front and 40% of the arm pen that scales. They flipped the formula around to make it better earlier. This is going to make Ghost Spade and these two much better earlier actually, and we might see arm pen ADs coming back a little bit more. Finally, there are some very small item changes. Athene's magic resist is up by 5, Crucible is up by 5, and Knight's Vow is 100 gold cheaper. Now, there are a few other small changes for champions, probably like a placebo effect actually. Try them out again and realize they aren't as bad as you thought they were, or nerf them a little bit and make them appear less strong. So Akali's AP ratio on her ultimate is going up 10% to 35%. It's kind of nice, I guess, especially if you get super fed mid to late game and actually get death cap. Normally, let's be honest, you build a mix of defense and damage, so you might not feel it every game, but it like could help you a bit more if you get ahead. I don't even think Akali is that bad top lane. Like, maybe you can let me know, maybe you play her and she is actually that bad, but people have just forgotten about her a little bit. Now, I do actually think Gragas, though, is pretty bad at the moment. He's the next one. He just doesn't really fit, and being able to dodge his ultimate so much easier really screwed him over, I think. It's only a very small. Base armor is up about 3 extra early. Base stats actually do a bit more than you think it does, though. It's going to help his early clear a little bit, take less damage, but overall, it's not really going to bring him back suddenly out of nowhere. Anyway, remember to head over to QT and let me know who you think deserves a buff or a nerf or anything else about the patch. It does help me out, plus you'll be in a video and get $10 of RP if I use it, whatever else for your server. Thank you for watching, and for now, let's go to the robots.